Okay, I think we're live now. I always have to adjust it a little bit each time we do it.
Okay, it's not live on YouTube yet.
We'll just wait about 10 seconds here.
Okay, it's live.
Okay, cool. Hi guys, it's Tait and Lawrence here from Nanjing Marketing Group. We're going to do our China Marketing Weekly live video podcast here. We're going to be looking at the news this week that we think affects Chinese marketing, affects anybody that's selling into China. Some of the things that we're going to look into are some new stats about Chinese internet users, China's software as a service ecosystem, plastic in Shanghai, Tesla, Sina, Sogou going private, WeChat ads, Chinese rising Yuan and how it affects luxury. And we're going to look at the Mid-Autumn Festival and how it affects travel right now, because it is Mid-Autumn Festival in China right now. So happy Mid-Autumn Festival. So first thing we're going to look at here, number one, is this report from the Chinese government. And they've been releasing this report for a long time. They do it twice a year, and this is the 46th edition. And they share information about Chinese internet users. It's a really long report, but I've got some of these things summed up for you. Now there are 940 million internet users in China. That's quite a few, right? That's 3 times USA. And how many of them are mobile? 932 million. So basically everybody that's on the internet now in China is mobile, almost everybody. So all the marketing that we do in China is mobile, basically. I mean, it needs to be mobile, and it needs to work on desktop too. There's no desktop only marketing in China. A new stat that I saw included in there is the number of remote workers. They said there's 199 million remote workers in China now. Actually, this report is for June of this year. So that's pretty cool. That's going to open up the market for selling them anything that makes their work at home experience more convenient. I think that they're going to be buying more software, and we're going to look at that in the next segment too. There's 285 million rural internet users, and the rural internet user penetration rate went up from 40 to 50%, because everybody that is a young person in a major Chinese city, they're already on the internet. So the uptick in new users coming on is in other places. It's either older people or it's people in rural areas. And about older people, the proportion of internet users that are 50 or over increased from 17 to 23%. I like to hear that, because our company does a lot of work in B2B marketing, and some of those decision makers are older. So I think it's cool that we see them getting online too. Just one more thing. I'll let Lawrence have his feedback here too if he wants, but one more thing is that there are 4.7 million websites in China, according to this report. And that's actually down. That's down from 5.4 million websites 2 years ago. I'd guess that the reason that is because, people aren't setting up websites all the time if they want to do marketing, if they have a small business or something. Instead of setting up a website on their own, they're setting up a WeChat mini site, or maybe the Taobao store. The Taobao store has been popular for a long time, or they're setting up an account on Douyin or on many other platforms.
I think, as Tate mentioned, that in rural area there is a clearly better improvement compared with a city one. I think for the last 2 or 3 years, and from now on, I think it's very important for the government to setting up business in those rural areas, because we have a lot of population in rural areas, and I think that is why we have seen the number rises in rural area, because government is helping out there. So I would say, from my point of view, I even saw one of my uncle using his mobile phone to do the live back to beginning of this year. I think
To
it was on
to to do
January.
to
Yeah,
do what? A live stream?
to live stream to selling some potatoes.
Oh, right. Yeah.
In yeah. He was like 65 already. I would say
Yeah.
he's like very terrible with use of mobile phone. He could
Yeah.
even barely use WeChat back
Yeah.
to 2018, I would say. And now he could even set up a live stream
Yeah.
on Pinduoduo and to sell some stuff. I think that's just incredible.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. I was going to mention Pinduoduo too. They've made a lot of money by both selling to people in rural areas and also making it easier for manufacturers and other people to sell via e-commerce. It's kind of a funny trend in China that we should talk about sometime in more detail, but there is that trend of farmers or other food producers like fishermen going online and live streaming and selling directly online because it's just so easy for them to get started. And I guess that
Yes.
they're usually not creating their own website. They don't want to get into those kind of details. They don't even want to do something as simple as setting up a WordPress site. They want something simpler than that. They want to just get started with that, with the live streaming or WeChat or whatever it is.
Yes, I think it is just so difficult for them to set up a website. I mean, like they could even barely use a smartphone. Like, how do they have the ability to set up a website and to do the operation? So I think easy apps like Pinduoduo give them a chance to sell those stuff to the country, to everywhere with the delivery system in China.
Yep. Okay. So long story short, if you're selling into China, everybody that was young and urban was already online. And now the people that are getting online are also people in rural areas or older people. I'm going to move on to the next one here.
Mhm.
This is a cool article from TechNote. It's about China's software as a service industry. And they ask, where are China's SaaS giants? So this article here, what it says is, while the US has Amazon, Facebook, and Google, China has Alibaba, Tencent, and Baidu. While the US has Salesforce, Adobe, and ServiceNow, China has no equivalent. This is something that we see in our work sometimes, because we were just talking about the trends in China and how e-commerce is so prevalent and search is so prevalent and social is everywhere, but the businesses in China haven't really been totally digitized to the extent that I would see in Canada or other places. They're not always using that software as a service or other equivalents. Now, it goes on. It says, in China, mass SaaS adoption has the potential to address many of the country's workplace challenges. From a macro perspective, the end of the demographic dividend, in which the working age population is greater than the population that does not work, will result in rising labor costs. So in China, basically, labor costs are going up all the time. Like, for example, speaking from the point of view of my company, salaries will go up 10% per year, usually, maybe more sometimes, and they just keep going up and up. So it makes more sense for people to start to use software as a service as the salaries go up, and it also makes more sense for them to try to become more efficient. There's a big drive in China to become more efficient and effective at what they do. The population's getting older. The people that are working just have to get better at what it is that they're doing. Finally, the estimates for the Chinese SaaS market range from 3.7 billion to 6 billion for 2019, less than 6% of the total world SaaS market. And then they show a chart below, and they show that China lags behind the developed world on investments in IT relative to its size. But we shared a couple of weeks ago that the Chinese services market is growing quickly. It might be smaller, but it's growing quickly, and there is a big opportunity there, I think. I'm kind of biased because that's something that our company does, and we tend to attract people that are interested in the things that we're talking about online. So I've worked with lots of software companies from abroad and B2B in general, and some of them are willing to sell into China. But I think that there are many, many more that we don't hear from that probably wouldn't want to sell into China because they think it's not a big enough market or it's tough to break into, which I think not a big enough market is not quite true. It's just not that there's not a good enough SaaS solutions for Chinese consumers yet. But it is true that it is tough to break into China.
I think I want to add up one point in here is I think many companies in overseas don't really want to change kind of the solution into China. I would say like if an overseas company want to emerge into China and want to be popular and adopted by many Chinese companies, one thing you have to definitely do is trying to be localized. I mean, you have to provide the solution for Chinese company, not for like US company or Canada companies. They're different. So you have to be localized to be popular.
Right.
And
Right.
I think many companies just didn't realize on that point.
Sure.
Maybe. I'm not an expert in here, but that's just my point.
Yeah, sure. Well, the typical Western SaaS company that contacts us, they're lacking a couple things. One is that they're not localized into Chinese yet. They need that Chinese language content. They also need to be able to they need to have the right price point and payment method.
Mm-hmm.
As salaries go up, it makes the tools more and more affordable. But if a company is selling a solution that is $200 per month, when a Chinese consumer sees that, they're going to see that in terms of Chinese yuan. It's going to be 1,400 Chinese yuan or something like that.
Yeah, that's
right?
just quite too expensive.
Yeah, and it might look too expensive for them. They might need to lower that a bit. The other thing is that the recurring model is tougher to get companies to sign up for at first, whereas I think that you could get a lot of Chinese companies to sign up if you sell them a one-time, you sell them a one-time service that is relatively cheap and then upsell them after that. This is my idea anyway. Just talking general ideas about how to sell SaaS in China. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. Trying to keep these to about 3 or 4 minutes per item. I don't know. We might go a little bit longer. But next thing here, Shanghai has banned plastic. So this article here from Radi China, it says, as part of a drive towards sustainability, Shanghai will ban the manufacture and use of disposable plastics across catering, hospitality, and e-commerce sectors from the end of this year. And the move will effectively erase plastic shopping bags and styrofoam tableware from the city. This is part of an overall trend in China to become greener, to become nicer to live in and pollute less of the world. And I talked about this last week. Xi Jinping was at the UN and he was talking about China's effort to become China neutral by 2060. And if he says it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And, it won't be really easy to see the coordination across all the cities and regions in China and how they implement things to make it greener. But we'll see a general trend towards being greener. And that means that there's opportunities for any businesses that are helping in this way. Now, I'm not technical enough in this area to understand how you might help a city use less plastic, but I'm sure that there are people out there that do have solutions and that those solutions would be appreciated in China. Some other cities are also even starting to ban plastic now too.
Yes, actually, maybe Tate, you don't know that. I think in Nanjing, we were starting for the rubbish distribution from November. So that's just beginning of the next month. So we will adopt the same strategy Shanghai adopted from last year. So I think it is a general trend that we will have to live in a cleaner society. And
okay, next one is related to the environment too. Now this is about Tesla. It's from cctv.com. And they're talking about why Tesla does so well in China, despite the US-China trade war. From the article, it says that new energy vehicles, such as the Tesla Model 3, are electric battery operated and run at zero emissions. Accordingly, Beijing has plenty of incentives to promote Tesla and to create more factory jobs in the country. So what they're saying, is the Chinese government is going to help promote Tesla. They're going to help Tesla do well in China because Tesla is helping with the environment. As an example of something that they're doing in particular, the article goes on. It says, new energy vehicles will continue to be exempt from a 10% vehicle purchase tax from January 1st, 2021 to December 2022. And there's more than just that regulation that are helping things out for Tesla. I mean, Tesla is cool. I think it's cool. A lot of Chinese consumers think it's cool too, and that helps them. But there's other things going on with the government. Tesla's going to be able to get special treatment from the government, either directly for the company or because the governments will be putting pressure on vehicles that are emitting too much pollution or helping out the new energy vehicles.
Yes.
Just part of this trend.
Tate, I think you can have a look the second line after the green line. Drivers can be eligible for subsidy as well as of July 2019. A RMB 25,000 subsidy was offered to the EV consumers. Actually, yesterday I saw news about Tesla. They reduced their price on Tesla Model 3 once again for 25,000 Chinese yuan. So I think I remember clearly the price for Tesla Model 3 was around 270,000 Chinese yuan, and they reduced that price by I think 25,000. So that's a lot. So they're just getting cheaper and cheaper again, and well, with those subsidies, they just like so easy to reach. Like every Chinese family can buy a Tesla. So yeah, I would say Tesla is very cheap and very good in China.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the next one. So the news here is that a couple Chinese companies, Chinese digital companies are going private. Sogou Inc. said on Tuesday, shareholder Tencent Holdings Limited would take the web search firm private in a $3.5 billion deal. And also, the move comes a day after Chinese social network Weibo's owner Sina said it would be taken private in a $2.6 billion deal. So these are two companies. You know, Sogou is the search engine mainly. It's one of the top search engines in China, but nowhere near Baidu's market share. And then Sina is the company that owns Weibo. And I think that probably what they're doing is they're sensing that there could be trouble for them in China, in USA, sorry, because we've seen the potential bans on TikTok and WeChat, and these companies, Sogou and Sina, were listed in USA. So if a storm comes their way, what's going to happen? I don't know. It's risky. So anyways, they're both moving private. They're moving off of these American exchanges and going private. Also, one more thing about Weibo here. Weibo released their financial results for June 2020, and they showed that there were 523 million monthly active users. So that's pretty good, you know, and 94% of them are mobile users. Now, that's half a billion people. And Weibo is one of those platforms that people don't talk about enough because they're talking about WeChat all the time. People want to talk about the biggest social platform. And why talk about platforms that only have 500 million users? But we use Weibo all the time for marketing, and we have for like over 10 years. Over 10 years we've used Weibo, and it's pretty good. And I always have faith in them. You got any comments on this one, Lawrence?
I think, as you said, Weibo is very good platform to do advertising. Like so many people only pay attention on WeChat because they know that there's a billion user on WeChat. But like for Weibo, like more users on Weibo, like probably education sectors and some quick industry sectors, these are actually good to do advertising on Weibo. So I would say don't forget Weibo. I know WeChat is good, but don't forget Weibo.
All right, let's take a look at WeChat here. So this article here, it's in Chinese, but it's from QQ.com, and what it's talking about is this kind of ad scam that's going on WeChat. And what will happen is as users use WeChat and they view some content, they might get a notification that in order to keep viewing the content, they need to watch an advertisement. And this shouldn't really work on WeChat, but I guess some people have been doing it, and WeChat is cracking down on it. And then they're going to be banning accounts or otherwise stopping people, which I think is good. And in a way, this is kind of non-news because it's like, oh, well, there wasn't too much spam on WeChat, and now there also isn't going to be too much spam. But I guess the trend that I see is that for how long WeChat has been out, they've always been careful to try to make the platform really easy to use and not full of ads as much. Like I just feel it's way easier to use than Facebook anyways. But Lawrence, tell me if I got this right, or if you want to add some details about the WeChat ads.
Yeah, I think you are absolutely right about everything you just said. I think one thing I would like to add up is that the reason WeChat is trying to banning those people who publish so many ads on the WeChat video is because they really impact on the average experience, like me. So for example, I don't like to watching an ad, and WeChat is promoting like videos on WeChat itself. So I think just getting more people are using this advantage, taking advantage on WeChat. So they are not actually uploading videos on WeChat, but they are uploading thousands of advertisement on WeChat, and which I don't like it. It really hurt people, how people use WeChat and how they feel.
But
and that's just
it isn't regular
Yeah.
people, regular users that are doing ads on WeChat, right? It is certain accounts that are on WeChat.
Yes, actually, there are two kind of people who are doing it. So normally, some people will just upload a quick video of themselves or something else, and second type of people are who trying to selling advertisement on their videos. So, for example, every advertisement on their videos, they could get a profit from anyone else to watch their
But
videos.
hold on,
So,
are
yeah.
I'm saying, are these regular users, or these are the video official accounts or what?
No, they're not video official account. For example, I can set up a WeChat account today, and I will just upload video on WeChat, and then I will embed advertisement on that video. So
Yeah.
probably, for example, Chanel will come to me and says, "Oh, hey Lawrence, do you want to put our advertisement in your videos? We can pay you like $10 that videos." I would say yes, why not? Then I would just put all Chanel advertisement on that video. So like thousands of people are gonna watch the video, then I will just get rich. So that's what WeChat don't want to do because you
Okay.
don't really have any content.
Okay. But this method is not going to work, right?
Yeah, it's not gonna work anymore. So now WeChat
Okay.
is gonna detect any user if they upload video with advertisement, they'll get a warning first, then after 2 or 3 attempts, they will be banned.
Okay, but people would still be able to include the advertisement directly in the video, wouldn't they? Like a video where, say, we're doing a video like this, and then all of a sudden we talk about a certain sponsor. That would fit in
That'll be
fine.
fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be fine.
Yeah.
What which I don't like is you put as advertisement in the video. So you're not actually watching a video, you're watching an advertisement. So the way you just said, some people would just do a video and mention their sponsor, that's just fine, but you can't just do a whole advertisement on WeChat.
Right. Okay. 2 more items here. Okay. Earlier we talked about how the Chinese yuan is increasing in value, most likely. Well, we don't know this for sure. It's just some speculation from people that know, economists with crystal balls maybe. But the Chinese yuan is expected to strengthen from maybe 6.8 to 6.5 US dollars worth coming up. And this article here from Jing Daily asks how it'll affect luxury in particular. And one of the things they say here is that if consumers see their currency gets them Western goods more cheaply than before, they will buy more. This scenario leaves Western brands with 2 options. Either keep prices at current levels and sell more products, or hike prices to reclaim exclusivity. So these luxury brands, they might end up just selling more in China coming up, or they might sense that Chinese consumers are willing to spend more and that Chinese consumers like to buy exclusive luxury products. So they might end up increasing their prices there. Also, it says about travel, since the renminbi will get them a little further than in the past, Chinese travelers will go on more overseas shopping-centric trips, and they will increase their spending during their vacations. Okay, so this seems quite reasonable too. When we have in the past promoted brands that are selling luxury products, fashion products, they'll pay a lot of attention to the data that from their e-commerce or the data from their online sales, but they might not know very well how the travel purchases are, because they don't know really who is making the purchases in the stores abroad. But there is a very large and important segment of buyers that are Chinese people abroad making purchases of Western luxury goods, and that's because they're cheaper abroad than they would be in China after taxes and such. And those buyers are sometimes travelers, or they're sometimes Chinese people that just live abroad and they're making purchases and selling it back into China.
I think one thing I remember very clearly, that was when I was in Sydney. My parents came to Sydney and visit me. Well, that was my first year in university. And my parents spent, I would say, a lot of money on jewelries and luxury bags. My dad spent some money to buy the bags and the jewelries for my mom. And I feel like the Chinese people, when they're going out, they have a passion to buy things. They don't really care how their budget goes. For example, if they have 100 budget, probably they will just spend 200 in overseas. But if they back to China, they will just keep in 100. So I think that's something different from my point of view. I still remember that.
Okay, they buy things very passionately. Is that right? I guess I guess your Chinese family members are different than my Chinese family members, because the ones I know, at least the older ones, they don't spend money passionately. they spend money very, very carefully. It depends on the person, though, right? It's just luxury goods are selling to a certain type of person, a person with certain ideas about buying. Let's move on to, I think this is the last one here.
Yes.
So this is about Mid-Autumn Festival. Now, it's Mid-Autumn Festival in China, and it's also what's that? National Day? National
holiday. Yeah, national holiday.
National holiday in China. That these are two different holidays that happen to be on the same exact day this year, but sometimes they're on a little bit.
That was quite unique.
Of different days, yeah. But so Mid-Autumn Festival is a traditional festival, and National Day is a day to let's say celebrate China. And it's and they're both situated on the same day, and it's on the week that is the golden week in China. It is the week where lots of people might go and travel. Now, it's a big question of how much should people travel this year, because it's just during a pandemic time, or maybe it's just past a pandemic time. But it looks like a lot of people will actually be traveling this year, maybe even more than last year. Lawrence, why don't you tell me about it?
Okay, so this year was quite unique, as Tait just said, because we have the Mid-Autumn Festival as well as national holiday on the same day. And for the last past 6 months, it's been the coronavirus has been going on around the country, and now I think the Chinese government has contained it. So from this article, I have seen that predict we'll have 550 million domestic trips going on with China during the Golden Week. So that's a lot. So from my point of view, yesterday I went out and I live very close to the highway entrance. I saw so many cars are waiting to get into the highway and going on to maybe for a holiday. And I think that's very different. And from this article, it also says China's largest online travel agency estimate the number to be over 600 million, both above 70% of last year's level. So I wouldn't say that the travel level has been the same as last year or even over the last year, but it's back on track. That I can see that people are like passionate to going for a travel because
Yeah.
probably they've been stay at home for too long.
Yes. I think a lot of people can emphasize with that right now. But China is ahead of the curve in how much it can open up. And I think people are feeling pretty comfortable there now. Is that what you feel?
Yes, I think for now, like no one really worries about about coronavirus, and there is a little impact about domestic, issue. All I have seen some cases, the coronavirus cases from outside of the country, not within the country. So I would say that's something like no one is really worrying about coronavirus, so they are really enjoying the holidays.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. All right. I'm going to wrap it up here. Okay, people. So this has been some news from our China Marketing Weekly podcast and newsletter and YouTube and everything. You can follow it where you want to. You can follow it on YouTube or your podcast platform or subscribe to our newsletter. I'll leave some of the links below. Otherwise, feel free to send us an email, comment, or whatever, and let us know what you think or what you want to see. Have a nice week. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival, and I'll see you later.
Bye bye. See you guys. Bye bye.